The tattooed man Brittany had been caring for, bathing, feeding, speaking to for 6 whole months, suddenly stood up from his wheelchair, walked across the mansion floor, and said, "Let's go inside." And what shocked her most wasn't that he'd been faking paralysis all along, but that she still wanted to go with him. But that moment was still months away. Let's rewind 6 months. Brittany's phone screamed at 5:30 a.m., the same ringtone that had been eroding her soul since her first day on the job. She silenced it with a heavy hand, her body protesting before her feet even touched the cold floor of her cramped studio apartment. The mirror showed her what everyone noticed immediately: a plus-size black woman with tired eyes and discount scrubs that never quite fit right. The label said large, but apparently meant optimistic. She didn't linger on her reflection. There was no point. By 6:30 a.m., she was on the bus, heading toward the wealthy hills, where people like her only existed to serve. She practiced medical terms under her breath: subcutaneous hematoma, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, trying to sound more legitimate than she felt. Her nursing certification was being wasted on what was basically a very expensive mannequin. The mansion appeared through morning fog, like something from a contradictory dream. Modern minimalist exterior, all sharp lines and dark glass, but inside, Baroque excess, gold everything, ornate curtains. A black Mercedes sat in the circular driveway, polished to a menacing shine. Brittany walked past it, through the front entrance that never locked for her anymore, and into the world of Kang Min. He was exactly where he always was. Positioned by floor-to-ceiling windows, sunlight fell across his bare shoulders. Shirtless, physical therapy requirement, totally legitimate, definitely not an excuse. The dragon tattoo wrapped from his chest across both arms, intricate green and red scales that shifted with each breath. A barbed wire design circled his neck. His black hair was slicked back perfectly, and his face was blank as always, completely still, as responsive as a brick wall. Rude, honestly. Just offensively handsome and entirely unavailable, her brain supplied unhelpfully, because 6 months in, and she still wasn't used to the tattoos. Or the abs, mostly the abs. "Good morning, Mr. Kang," Brittany said, her voice entering the room before she did. Professional, warm. The same greeting for 183 days straight. She set down her bag and rolled up her sleeves. He sat in his wheelchair, facing east. Always east. She'd never questioned why. What Brittany didn't know, couldn't know, was that Kang Min had been awake since 4 a.m., that he'd heard the gate open, counted her footsteps on the marble floors, that he'd positioned himself at this exact angle because the morning light made her smile when she walked in. Day 183, he thought. Still, haven't told her. "It's Tuesday," Brittany continued, moving to open the curtains wider. Sunlight flooded the room, which means physical therapy after breakfast, then your afternoon medication. Mr. Park said something about a security briefing later, but that's above my pay grade. She approached him with practiced ease, checking his vitals first. Pulse, perfect. Blood pressure, ideal. Muscle tone, suspiciously excellent for someone supposedly paralyzed. "You know what's funny, Mr. Kang?" She adjusted his wheelchair position slightly. "I've been talking to your kneecaps for half a year now. Says I'm wasting my words on a man who doesn't even know I exist." Kang Min's chest tightened imperceptibly. If only she knew. Brittany moved to the kitchen to prepare his breakfast, her voice carrying through the open space. "But I think you do hear me. I think you're in there somewhere, just stuck." She returned with a tray. pureed food that looked as appetizing as it sounded. "I know what that feels like," she said softly, setting everything on the side table. "Being stuck, being invisible." She smiled sadly, adjusting his collar with gentle hands. Inside his head, Kang Min was screaming. He ran a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. He'd orchestrated political negotiations and strategic takedowns. But this woman, this gorgeous, kind, funny woman, reduced him to a man eating baby food because he was too proud and too scared to admit he'd been faking paralysis for 4 months. 4 months. He'd healed at month 2. The spinal trauma from the assassination attempt had resolved faster than anyone expected. His neurologist had been amazed, wanted to run more tests. Kang Min had declined, paid him off, kept the secret, because at month 2, Brittany had started humming while she worked. Old gospel songs her grandmother taught her. And when she hummed, something in his chest that had been dead for years started beating again. So he'd stayed in the chair, kept his face blank, ate pureed carrots that tasted like punishment, and fell completely, hopelessly in love with a woman who thought he was a vegetable. "All right, Mr. Kang," Brittany said, positioning herself to help with his morning stretches. "Let's get you loosened up." She took his arm, warm, solid, very much alive, and began the routine. Kang Min had to actively remind himself not to help, not to flex, not to pull her closer like every instinct demanded. "You know," she continued, working his shoulder in slow circles, "I had another Tinder date cancel yesterday. 3rd one this month." Her voice stayed cheerful, but he heard the hurt underneath. "Guy said I was sweet, but not really his type, which is code for, you're fat and I'm shallow." Kang Min's hand twitched, just barely. She didn't notice. "I'm starting to think maybe I'm the problem, you know? Like, maybe I'm just not enough." Not enough. His internal voice was incredulous. She was everything. Funny, brilliant, kind, beautiful, in ways that had nothing to do with what the world valued and everything to do with who she was. But he couldn't say that. Couldn't move. Couldn't do anything but sit there like a coward while she hurt. Anyway, Brittany laughed, but it sounded hollow. "You don't need my baggage. You've got enough of your own." She finished the stretches and moved to prepare his bath. Kang Min sat in his wheelchair, staring out the window at nothing. Day 183. 4 months of lies, and absolutely no idea how to fix it without losing her completely. Over the next 2 weeks, Brittany started noticing things that didn't make sense. Small things, impossible things. Monday, week 1. She arrived at 6:30 a.m. sharp. Kang Min's wheelchair was facing the bookshelf instead of the window. "Huh." Brittany tilted her head. "Could have sworn I left you facing east, Mr. Kang." She repositioned him, humming while she worked. In his head, Kang Min cursed himself. Rookie mistake. Got bored at 2 a.m., wanted to look at something different. Forgot to reset the position. Tuesday. His coffee mug, the one she always placed on the right side of the table, was on the left. "Mr. Park must have moved this during his security check," she muttered, switching it back. There was no security check, Kang Min thought miserably. "I got thirsty. This is getting complicated." Wednesday. Brittany found a chocolate wrapper in the trash, the expensive kind. European dark chocolate with sea salt. She held it up, frowning. "Did someone feed you chocolate? That's definitely not on your diet plan." That one was just careless, he admitted internally. But it was really good chocolate. Thursday. She could have sworn his hand was positioned differently on the armrest. Fingers slightly curled instead of flat. "I'm losing it," she said to the empty room. No, Kang Min thought. You're noticing because you're brilliant and I'm an idiot. By Friday, Brittany had started a list on her phone. Weird things in the Kang mansion. Wheelchair moved coffee mug, switched mysterious chocolate. Hand position different. Is the room temperature higher? Did he adjust the thermostat? She stared at the list during her lunch break, sitting in the mansion's absurdly large kitchen. I'm being paranoid, she told herself. 6 months of one-sided conversations is making me see things. But the doubt had planted itself. That afternoon, Mr. Park, head of security, and apparently Kang Min's longest-suffering employee, stopped by during physical therapy. Miss Moore. He nodded respectfully. He was older, 50s maybe, with grey at his temples and eyes that saw everything. Mr. Park, Brittany smiled, continuing to work Kang Min's shoulder rotation. Everything okay? Just checking in. How's our patient? Same as always, stable, unresponsive. She paused. Actually, can I ask you something? Kang Min's internal alarm bells started ringing. Of course. Has anyone else been in here, moving things? I've noticed some inconsistencies. Mr. Park's expression didn't change, but Kang Min saw the tiny muscle twitch near his eye, the one that meant he was trying not to laugh. Inconsistencies. His wheelchair position. Items moved. Small things. Mr. Park stroked his chin thoughtfully. I'll look into it. Perhaps the night staff. There's night staff. Security rotations. Oh, right. Brittany looked embarrassed. Sorry, I'm probably just tired. After Mr. Park left, she could have sworn she heard him laughing in the hallway. Week 2, Monday. Brittany decided to test something. Before leaving for the day, she positioned Kang Min's wheelchair at a very specific angle. She also placed a pen on the side table in an exact spot and left one curtain slightly more closed than the other. Good night, Mr. Kang, she said sweetly. See you tomorrow. Then she marked everything on her phone, took photos. The next morning, she compared. The wheelchair had moved 3 inches. The pen was on the opposite side of the table. Both curtains were fully open. Okay, she whispered. Either this mansion is haunted, or someone is messing with me. She looked at Kang Min, perfectly still, perfectly blank. Or, she said slowly, walking closer, something else is going on. His breathing didn't change. His face remained neutral. But Brittany had been a nurse for 5 years. She knew bodies, knew the small tells, and unless she was completely losing her mind, his pulse just quickened. That evening, she did something she probably shouldn't have. She accessed his medical files. As primary caregiver, she had the login credentials, but she'd never actually looked beyond the basic care instructions. Privacy, professionalism, boundaries, all that. But now she needed answers. The files loaded on the mansion's computer in Kang Min's study. She glanced at the doorway. He was in the living room where she'd left him. Mr. Park was doing perimeter checks and started reading. Initial diagnosis. 6 months ago. Severe spinal trauma from gunshot wound. Complete paralysis below C4. Patient unresponsive to external stimuli. Prognosis uncertain. She scrolled down. Month 1. Patient remains unresponsive. No voluntary movement. Recommend continued supportive care. Month 2. Unexpected development. Patient showing neural recovery. Muscle responses to stimuli. Recommend immediate further testing. Brittany's heart rate spiked. Month 3. Nothing. Month 4. Nothing. Month 5. Nothing. Month 6. Nothing. Why would they stop testing when he was improving? She whispered to the screen. Unless Unless someone didn't want more testing. Unless someone wanted the paralysis diagnosis to continue. But why would... She heard a sound behind her, spun around. Empty doorway. "I'm being paranoid," she muttered, closing the files. But her hands were shaking. Wednesday, week 2. Brittany tried something new during morning stretches. She was working his arm, talking about her sister's drama with her boyfriend, when she casually said, "You know what, Mr. Kang? I've been thinking about quitting." She watched his face carefully. "Nothing." "Yeah, I got a job offer in Seattle. Better pay, better hours, better everything. Still nothing. I'd leave next week. This Friday would be my last day." Was that... Did his jaw just clench? "I mean, you wouldn't miss me. You don't even know I'm here." She forced lightness into her voice. "But I'd miss you. Isn't that sad? The best part of my day is a man who doesn't even know I exist." Behind her back, where she couldn't see, Kang Min's right pinky finger moved. Just once, deliberately, a tiny gesture of absolute agony. "Don't go," his mind screamed. "Please don't go. I'll tell you everything. I'll stand up right now. Just don't leave." But he remained frozen, because if she was testing him, and she was, he could hear it in her voice. Moving would confirm everything. And then she'd know he'd been lying for 4 months. She'd hate him. Leave anyway. At least this way, she might stay. Even if she didn't know the real him. Brittany turned back around, studying his face. "Just kidding," she said softly. "There's no job in Seattle. I was testing you." His heart stopped. "And I think," she continued, stepping closer, "you just failed, or passed. I'm not sure which." She knelt beside his wheelchair, her dark eyes searching his blank ones. "Mr. Kang, I need you to understand how absolutely crazy this is going to sound." Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. "Can you hear me? I mean, really, hear me?" 5 seconds of excruciating silence. Then, so subtle she almost missed it. His pinky finger moved again. Once, deliberately. Brittany's blood ran cold. "Oh my God," she breathed, stumbling backward. "Oh my God, you've been..." She pressed her hands to her mouth, eyes wide. Kang Min kept his face perfectly neutral, but inside everything was screaming. She knows. She finally knows. Say something. Do something. Stand up and tell her everything. But he didn't. Couldn't. Because the terror of losing her was stronger than the agony of lying. Brittany grabbed her bag with shaking hands. I need to go. I need to think." She practically ran out of the mansion. Behind her, Kang Min finally allowed himself to move. He dropped his head into his hands and did something he hadn't done in years. He broke. "You're watching this right now? There's a good chance you're looking for an escape. Maybe your day was long. Maybe you're on night shift and the hours are dragging. Maybe you just needed to feel something, anything, that wasn't your regular routine. I get it. That's why we're here. So tell me in the comments, what's your story right now? What brought you here tonight? And based on what you've seen so far, do you think Brittany should give Kang Min a chance to explain why he lied? Or is trust too broken to fix? Also, subscribe and hit like button. Shout out where you're watching from. I love seeing this community spread across the world. All of us invested in whether a nurse and a fake paralyzed crime boss can figure their lives out. Brittany didn't come back the next day. Or the day after that. She called in sick, said she had the flu, needed a few days. The agency offered to send a replacement. Kang Min, through Mr. Park, declined. He doesn't need anyone, Mr. Park told them. Which was technically true, if horrifyingly ironic. Day 1. Without Brittany, Kang Min sat in his wheelchair out of habit, staring at nothing. Mr. Park found him like that at noon. Boss, don't. You need to. I said don't. Mr. Park sighed, setting down a tray of food. Real food, not pureed. She figured it out. I know. And you're just sitting here? What else would you have me do? Kang Min's voice was rough. Chase after her. Tell her I've been lying for 4 months because I fell in love with her while pretending to be a vegetable. Yes? She'd slam the door in my face. Maybe, but at least you'd have tried. Mr. Park crossed his arms. For what it's worth, I think she cares about you too. She cares about the man she thought I was, not this. He gestured vaguely at himself. And who is this exactly? Because from where I'm standing, you're still the same person. You just have working legs. Kang Min said nothing. Mr. Park left the tray and walked out, muttering something about idiots in love. Day 2. Without Brittany. Kang Min tried to work, went through financial reports for the various legitimate businesses that fronted his less legitimate operations, approved shipments, reviewed security protocols. Nothing held his attention. His phone sat on the desk, silent. He'd memorized her number months ago. Could call her right now. Say what, exactly? Sorry I pretended to be paralyzed while you bathed me? Sorry I fell in love with you under false pretenses. Sorry I'm a criminal who's been lying about literally everything. He put the phone away. Day 3. Without Brittany. 3:22 a.m. Kang Min was in his study, trying to drink away thoughts of gospel songs and bright smiles and the way she said his name. Mr. Kang. Never just Kang, never Min. Always formal, always professional, because she thought he couldn't hear her anyway. His phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. What? Heavy breathing on the other end. Then, boss, we have a situation. One of his section leaders, voice tense. What kind of situation? The kind that involves the West Side crew making moves on our territory. They hit 2 of our warehouses tonight. They're saying. The man hesitated. Saying what? That you're weak, incapacitated, that the organization has no real leadership. Kang Min's grip on the phone tightened. They're not wrong, he said coldly. Boss, I've been sitting in a wheelchair for 6 months. Half the organization thinks I'm actually paralyzed. The other half thinks I've gone soft. Both are acceptable beliefs. What do you want us to do? Kang Min was quiet for a long moment. Then, call a meeting. Tomorrow night, full council. It's time to restructure. Restructure. People are getting bold. That means I've been absent too long. His voice hardened. Time to remind them who they're working for. He hung up, stared at his reflection in the dark window. Tomorrow, he'd handle the organization. But tonight he was just a man who'd lost the only person who mattered. And no amount of power could fix that. Brittany's apartment, day 3. The ice cream was gone. So was her dignity. Brittany sat on her couch in pajamas she hadn't changed out of in 2 days, surrounded by tissues and the wreckage of 3 rom-coms she'd hate-watched while crying. Her phone buzzed. Again. Unknown number. 47 missed calls. Nursing agency. 12 missed calls. Sister, don't ignore me. 23 missed calls. She ignored all of them. Instead, she stared at the ceiling and replayed everything. 183 days of oversharing my life story to a man who didn't even blink. One-sided, she thought. Except they weren't. He'd heard every word. Every embarrassing story about her terrible dates. Every complaint about her bunions. Every vulnerable moment when she'd poured her heart out thinking no one was listening. He'd been listening the entire time. I bathed him, she said to her empty apartment. I bathed him. Regularly. and he was just awake, aware, probably judging my technique. She grabbed another tissue. The worst part? She wasn't even sure if she was angry or hurt, or... Her phone rang again. This time she looked. "Sister, don't ignore me." Brittany sighed and answered, "I'm alive." Brittany Marie Moore. Her sister's voice could shatter glass. "I've been calling you for 3 days. I was about to file a missing persons report. I told you I have the flu." "You're a terrible liar. What happened?" Brittany was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Remember my patient, the paralyzed guy, the one you wouldn't shut up about, with the tattoos? He wasn't paralyzed." Silence on the other end. "I'm sorry, what?" "He wasn't paralyzed." Brittany's voice cracked. "At least not for the last 4 months. He's been faking it, and I've been taking care of him like an idiot." "Oh my God." "Yeah. Britt, that's... Wait, how do you know?" "I tested him. He moved, on purpose." She laughed bitterly. 24 weeks of my life gone. Poof. Spent on a man who was basically a very handsome statue. Her sister was quiet for a moment. Then, "Okay, but why would he fake being paralyzed?" "I don't know. That's the part that's driving me crazy. What kind of person does that? Was he... did he seem dangerous? Was this some kind of weird crime thing?" Brittany thought about Kang Min, his blank face, his careful stillness, the expensive mansion and the armed security and Mr. Park's military precision. "Maybe," she admitted. "Probably. I don't know. I just know I can't go back there." "Do you want to?" "What? Go back. Do you want to?" Brittany opened her mouth to say no, but what came out was, "I don't know." Because that was the truth. Part of her was furious, humiliated, ready to never see Kang Min again. But another part, a part she didn't want to examine too closely, remembered the way his face looked in morning light, the warmth of his skin during physical therapy, the strange intimacy of caring for someone, even if it had all been a lie. "Britt, I have to go." "Wait." She hung up, stared at her phone, at the unknown numbers that kept calling. She should block them, delete everything, move on. Instead, she opened her photos, scrolled back 6 months, found the first picture she'd taken of the mansion. She'd sent it to her sister with the caption, "New job. Wish me luck." She looked so hopeful in that photo, before she'd met him, before she'd started falling for a man who couldn't, who could, who'd been able to the whole time. "Damn it," she whispered. Day 4, 11:43 p.m. Brittany was finally asleep when her phone rang. Not an unknown number this time, a saved contact. Mr. Park, work. She almost didn't answer, but something in her gut said she should. "Hello, Miss Moore." His voice was tense, controlled. "I apologize for calling so late. What's wrong?" "I need you to listen very carefully. There's been a situation." Brittany sat up, suddenly wide awake. "What kind of situation?" "The kind that requires you to make a choice." "I don't understand." "Tomorrow night there's a meeting. The organization, Mr. Kang's associates, they're voting on restructuring. They believe he's incapacitated, vulnerable. They're planning to remove him from power." Her blood ran cold. "Remove him? What does that mean?" A pause. "It means Kang Min has approximately 18 hours to live unless he does something about it." "Oh my God. He's doing nothing. He's accepted it. And I think..." Mr. Park's voice roughened slightly. "I think when you left, something in him gave up." Brittany's hands were shaking. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because in 6 months, I've watched my boss, A man who feels nothing, fears nothing, become human. You did that. You made him laugh. You made him care about something other than survival and power. He lied to me. He did. He used me. Did he? Mr. Park challenged. Or did a man who's been isolated his entire life finally find someone who saw him as human, and he was too terrified to ruin it by being himself? Brittany pressed her palm to her forehead. He doesn't deserve... You're right. He doesn't deserve you. But I think you deserve the chance to tell him that to his face, while he's still alive to hear it. The line went dead. Brittany sat in the darkness of her apartment, phone clutched in her hand. She thought about staying home, safe, away from whatever criminal drama was about to unfold. She thought about Kang Min sitting in that wheelchair, accepting death because he'd lost her. This is stupid, she told herself. He's a liar and probably a criminal, and he made me puree his food when he could chew solid food like a normal person. She threw off her blankets. But he's also going to die if I don't go. She grabbed her keys. And then I'll never get to yell at him properly. The mansion, 12:47 a.m. The black Mercedes was waiting outside Brittany's apartment building. She hadn't even called anyone. They'd known she'd come. The driver, a man she'd seen before during security rotations, opened the door silently. She climbed in, her heart hammering. The drive took 20 minutes. No one spoke. When they pulled through the mansion gates, everything looked different, darker, dangerous, like the fairy tale had turned into a nightmare. Steel shutters covered some windows. Armed men stood at intervals around the property. The Baroque gold interior that had always seemed excessive now seemed sinister. Mr. Park met her at the entrance. Miss Moore. Where is he? Main study. But first, you need to understand what you're walking into. I'm walking into a crime lord's mansion to yell at a man who faked paralysis. I think I understand plenty. Despite everything, Mr. Park's mouth twitched. Fair. But there are people here tonight who are dangerous, who see you as the leverage. Stay close to me. They walked through hallways Brittany knew by heart, but everything felt foreign now. Voices drifted from the main hall, speaking Korean, tense and argumentative. What are they saying? She whispered. Debating whether to move tonight or wait until tomorrow. Whether to make it look like an accident or send a message. Mr. Park's face was grim. The usual. That's not usual. In this world, it is. They reached the study. Mr. Park opened the door. Kang Min sat in his wheelchair, facing the window, just like always. Like nothing had changed, except everything had changed. I'll be outside, Mr. Park said quietly, and left. The door clicked shut. Silence. Brittany stood there, staring at the back of Kang Min's head, his perfect posture, his stillness. You can stop pretending, she said finally. I know you can hear me. His shoulders tensed. Slowly, so slowly, he turned the wheelchair around, met her eyes. You came back. His voice. God, his voice. She'd only heard it once before, in the dark during the power outage. Rough from disuse but steady, real. I came back to yell at you. Fair. She walked closer, hands shaking with adrenaline and fury and fear. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? I spent 2 whole seasons telling you my deepest secrets while you sat there like a very expensive piece of IKEA furniture. I am a person, a conscious person, giving you sponge baths. I remember. Something flickered in his eyes. Stretching your fully functional limbs. Brittany. And you just sat there, listening, like some kind of creep. I know. He stood up, actually stood. Brittany's breath caught despite herself. because this was different from the finger movement. This was him, fully himself, no pretense. He was taller than she'd imagined, graceful, powerful. The dragon tattoo seemed to move as he walked toward her. "You know," her voice rose, "you know, I told you about my Tinder dates." Despite the gravity of everything, his mouth twitched. The guy who brought his mother was particularly bad. "This isn't funny. I'm not laughing." But his eyes were soft, almost broken. She stopped, breathing hard. "Why? Why what? Why keep pretending? Why not just tell me when you healed?" Kang Min was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Because for the first time in my life, someone talked to me like I was just Min. Not the boss, not the heir, not the weapon." He took another step closer. "Just a man who liked gospel music and terrible reality TV and the way you laugh when you tell stories." Brittany's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. "You lied." "I did. You used me." "No." His voice turned firm. "I needed you. There's a difference." "What's the difference?" He reached for her hand slowly, carefully, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His fingers wrapped around hers, warm, solid, real. "Using you would have been easy," he said quietly. "Needing you terrified me, because it meant I had something to lose." A tear rolled down her cheek, despite her best efforts. "You called me convenient. I heard you. When your people were here, you said I was just convenient." Pain flashed across his face. Real, raw pain. "I lied. Again. Because if they knew the truth, that you're the only thing in this world that matters to me, they would have used you to destroy me." "So you destroyed me first?" "Yes." He cupped her face with his free hand, thumb brushing away her tear. "And I will spend the rest of my life, however long that is, regretting it. They're going to kill you tomorrow. I know. And you're just accepting it." He smiled, sad, resigned, beautiful. "After losing you, what's the point in fighting?" Brittany grabbed his shirt with both hands, yanked him down to eye level. Her face was wet with tears and fury and something she didn't want to name. "You idiot. You absolute moron. I did not spend 6 months bathing your tattooed ass just so you could die for dramatic effect. Brittany, we're fixing this, tonight, together. It's not that simple. Nothing with you is simple. You faked paralysis. For months. We're way past simple." She was shaking now, from anger or fear or the way he was looking at her, like she'd just saved his life by walking through that door. "Now tell me," she demanded, "what do we do?" Kang Min stared at her. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. A sound of wonder and disbelief, and something that sounded like hope. "God, I love you." Brittany's brain short-circuited. What? "I love you. I'm in love with you. Have been since month 1, when you started humming gospel songs while you worked." His eyes were bright, alive in a way she'd never seen. "And if I'm going to die tomorrow, you deserve to hear it." Her heart was trying to break out of her chest. "You're insane." "Probably. This is the worst confession ever." "I know. I should leave, right now. You should." Instead, she kissed him, hard, furious, desperate, perfect, when they broke apart, both breathing hard. Kang Min touched his forehead to hers. "You taste like rage and ice cream." "Shut up." "Is that a yes?" "To what?" "To us. To loving me back even though I'm a disaster." Brittany pulled back slightly, looking at him. Really looking. At the man who'd hidden behind paralysis because he was too scared to be real. At the crime lord who'd eaten pureed carrots for 4 months rather than risk losing her. "You're a disaster," she agreed. An infuriating, lying, beautiful disaster. She kissed him again, softer this time. Yes. His smile could have lit the entire mansion. Then reality crashed back. Kang Min, she said seriously, using his first name for the first time. What's the actual plan here? Because your people are in the next room planning your murder, and I'm pretty sure a kiss doesn't solve that. It helps, though. Focus. He laughed, actually laughed, and pulled her to the desk. Opened a drawer and extracted a folder. I've been preparing for this since month 2, when I realized I was healed but decided to continue the paralysis. He spread documents across the desk. The wheelchair wasn't just about you. It was about watching, learning who was loyal and who was waiting for an opportunity. Brittany scanned the papers, financial records, surveillance photos, recorded conversations. You were testing them. All of them. His voice hardened. An organization like this needs strong leadership. I want to see who would step up, who would keep things running, who would try to seize power, and who failed. 3 people, including the man who's leading tonight's vote. He pointed to a name. He's been embezzling for months, making side deals, planning a coup. You have proof, extensive proof. Kang Min pulled out a flash drive. Financial trails, video evidence, enough to end his career and send him to prison for 20 years. Brittany stared at him. You've been playing chess while pretending to be paralyzed, multitasking. Despite everything, she laughed. You're insane. You already said that. Bears repeating. He caught her hand, suddenly serious. Brittany, when we walk into that room, things are going to get dangerous. They'll see you as leverage against me. I need you to stay close to Mr. Park. If anything goes wrong, we handle it together. She squeezed his hand. You don't get to protect me by pushing me away again. We clear. You're terrifying. You literally run a criminal empire. And you terrify me more than any of them ever could. She kissed his cheek. Good. Now let's go ruin some bad guy's night. They walked into the main hall together. The effect was instantaneous. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. Kang Min, standing, walking, very much not paralyzed, with Brittany beside him, her hand in his. The room held about 15 people. Men in expensive suits. A few women. All of them looking between Kang Min and each other with varying degrees of shock. Good evening, Kang Min said calmly, his voice carrying. I apologize for the dramatic entrance. A man in his 50s, expensive watch, calculating eyes, stepped forward. This had to be the underboss Mr. Park mentioned. Kang Min, how mobile of you. Lee Sang-ho. Kang Min's smile was cold. Still pretending you care about this organization's well-being? Lee's expression tightened. We've been running things smoothly in your absence. Some might say better than before. Is that what you call embezzling $3 million? Smooth operation? The room went silent. Lee paled slightly. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? Kang Min nodded to Mr. Park, who pulled up a screen. Financial records flooded the display. Highlighted transactions. Money moving from organizational accounts to offshore holdings. This is fabricated. The timestamps are real. The bank records are real. The shell companies you created are very real. Kang Min's voice was ice. Want to see the video of you meeting with our competitors, offering them territory in exchange for support when you took over. Lee's face went from pale to red. You've been spying on your own people. I've been protecting this organization from parasites like you. Brittany stood slightly behind Kang Min, trying to process everything. This was a different man than the one in the wheelchair. Commanding, dangerous, in complete control. But when he glanced back at her, just for a second, his eyes softened. Still him. Still the man who listened to her terrible stories and loved gospel music. Just more. So what? Lee spat. You've been faking paralysis for months, playing us all like fools. That's betrayal too. Is it? Kang Min looked around the room. I was injured. Badly. While I recovered, I watched this organization continue without me. Watched some of you step up, take responsibility, make smart decisions. He pointed to 3 specific people. You 3. You ran your divisions competently, fairly, loyally. You made this organization stronger. Then he looked at Lee. And you showed me exactly why we need new leadership. Lee laughed bitterly. You can't just remove me. The council answers to me. Or have you forgotten who built this empire? You've been gone for 6 months. I've been right here, watching everything. Kang Min's smile was sharp. You want to know why I stayed in that wheelchair? Beyond the strategic advantage. He pulled Brittany forward gently. Because this woman treated me like a human being. Not a boss, not a weapon, just a person. And I realized something important. The room waited. I don't want this anymore. Shocked silence. What? Lee looked genuinely confused. This life, this violence, this constant paranoia. Kang Min looked at Brittany. I want something real, something clean, something that doesn't require me to sleep with a gun under my pillow. You're walking. Away? Someone asked from the back. I'm restructuring. Effective immediately. Leadership passes to a council of 3. He named the people he'd pointed out earlier. You'll run operations, split profits fairly, keep things legitimate where possible. And if we refuse, Lee demanded. Kang Min held up the flash drive. Then every law enforcement agency in 3 countries gets this. Evidence of every illegal operation we've run for 5 years. Names, dates, locations. Some of you will go to prison. Others will be killed by our competitors when your identities are exposed. You destroy your own organization. To protect what matters to me? Kang Min looked at Brittany. Without hesitation. Lee's hand moved toward his jacket. Instantly, Mr. Park had a gun pointed at his head. I wouldn't, Mr. Park said calmly. Lee froze. Kang Min continued, as if nothing had happened. Here's how this works. Lee Sang-ho, you're retired. Effective immediately. Take your legitimate assets and disappear. Try anything, and the evidence goes public. You can't. I just did. Anyone else have objections? No one moved. Good. Kang Min looked at the 3 new leaders. You have 48 hours to accept or decline. If you decline, we'll find others. If you accept, you answer to each other. Checks and balances. No more single-point failures. One of them, a woman in her 40s, spoke carefully. And you? I'll be available for consultation. Emergencies only. But my active involvement ends tonight. Why? Kang Min smiled, looking at Brittany. Because I've been dead inside for 10 years. And I just remembered what it feels like to be alive. The meeting ended an hour later. Lee Sang-ho left under escort, his face a mask of barely controlled rage. The new leadership council accepted their positions with a mixture of shock and determination. Various others filed out, casting curious glances at Brittany. Soon, only Kang Min, Brittany, and Mr. Park remained in the main hall. Well, Mr. Park said dryly, that was dramatic. Says the man who pulled a gun. He was reaching for his weapon. I was being proactive. Mr. Park looked at Brittany. Miss Moore, thank you. For what? For coming back. for giving him a reason to live instead of just survive. Brittany felt her cheeks warm. I mostly came back to yell at him. And yet, Mr. Park smiled slightly. If you'll excuse me, I need to ensure our angry ex-underboss actually leaves the property. He left. Brittany turned to Kang Min, who was loosening his tie with visible relief. So, she said, you just quit the mob. Semi-retired from the criminal empire, technically, because of me. Because of you. He pulled her closer. Are you upset about that? I'm processing. She pressed her hands against his chest, feeling his heartbeat, real and steady under her palms. 6 months ago, I was an underpaid nurse. Now I'm apparently dating a crime lord who faked paralysis and just restructured his entire organization. If it helps, I'm significantly less crime lordy as of an hour ago. It helps a little. And for the record, he said seriously, you were never just anything, not to me. She looked up at him. You know there's going to be consequences for all this. People who aren't happy. People who might come after you. Let them try. Kang Min. I've spent 10 years being afraid of losing power, losing control, losing everything. He cupped her face. And then I met someone who made me realize I'd already lost the most important thing. Myself. That's very poetic for a mobster. Ex-mobster. Semi-retired. Still processing that part. He kissed her forehead. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. Brittany laughed, a slightly hysterical edge to it. This is insane. We're insane. Probably. I'm still mad at you about the pureed food. That's fair. It was disgusting, if that helps. It does, actually. They stood there in the empty hall, surrounded by the wreckage of his old life and the possibility of something new. So what happens now? Brittany asked. Now? Kang Min smiled. We disappear, tonight, before anyone changes their mind or decides revenge is worth the risk. Disappear where? I have a villa, Tuscany. Completely legitimate purchase, no criminal ties. Vineyard views, small town where no one knows my face. You want to run away to Italy? I want to run towards something better. With you, if you'll come. Brittany thought about her tiny apartment, her underpaid nursing job, her sister who'd worry, her life that had been small but safe. Then she thought about gospel songs in the morning. The way Kang Min looked at her like she was his whole world, the possibility of something more. I have conditions, she said. Name them. 1. No more lies, ever, about anything. Agreed. 2. You go to therapy, actual therapy, because faking paralysis for 4 months is not normal behavior. Also agreed. 3. If we do this, we do it right. I'm not just your girlfriend or your nurse or your whatever. I'm your partner. Equal say in decisions. I wouldn't want it any other way. And 4, she poked his chest. You owe me 6 months of back pay for physical therapy services rendered under false pretenses. He laughed, the sound rich and genuine. I'll pay you in foot rubs and Italian wine. Deal. She kissed him. This time it was different. Not desperate or angry or confused, just certain. When they broke apart, Kang Min rested his forehead against hers. Ready to go inside? Brittany smiled at the callback, the words that had started everything. Yeah, she said softly. Let's go, inside. They left that night. Mr. Park drove them to a private airfield where a small plane waited. Not ostentatious, not flashy, just functional. The villa is fully stocked, Mr. Park said, handing Kang Min a folder. New identities, bank accounts, everything you need. Your share of the organization's assets has been transferred. Legitimately earned funds only, as requested. Thank you, for everything. Mr. Park looked at his boss, his friend, for a long moment. Be happy, Kang-min. You've earned it. They shook hands. Then Mr. Park turned to Brittany. Take care of him, Miss Moore. He's an idiot, but he's our idiot. I noticed the idiot part. And yet you're here. And yet I'm here, she agreed, smiling. They boarded the plane. As it lifted off, Brittany watched the lights of the city disappear below them. Everything she'd known, everything that had been safe and predictable, gone. Kang-min took her hand. Regrets? He asked quietly. She thought about it honestly. Ask me, again in 6 months. He smiled. Fair. The plane banked east toward the sunrise, toward something new, toward home. 6 months later, Tuscany, Italy. Brittany stood on the villa's balcony, watching the sun paint the vineyard gold. She wore a sundress, something she never would have worn 6 months ago. Her hair was loose, natural. Her face relaxed in a way that had taken weeks to achieve. The villa was perfect, small, cozy, nothing like the mansion's Baroque excess. White stucco walls, terracotta roof, endless views of rolling hills and grapevines. Their nearest neighbour was half a mile away. Peace, actual peace. Arms wrapped around her waist from behind. You're thinking too loud, Kang-min murmured against her neck. She leaned back into his chest, smiling. Just wondering if this is real. Want me to pinch you? Want me to remind you about the sponge baths? He laughed, the sound still making her heart skip. You're never letting that go, are you? Never. It's my trump card for every argument. Fair. They stood there, wrapped in each other and the Italian morning. Brittany had asked him 6 months ago to ask her again about regrets. So he did. Regrets? Kang-min asked quietly. She turned in his arms, studying his face. The tattoos she'd traced 100 times now. The eyes that watched her like she'd hung the moon. The man who'd given up everything for a chance at something real. You know what's crazy? She said. What? I don't regret any of it. Not the lies, not the paralysis, not the drama. She touched his face. Because it led here, to you, to us, to this. Even the pureed carrots. Okay, you can regret those. They were a crime against food. He kissed her, smiling against her lips. What about you? She asked. Any regrets? Only one. Her stomach dropped. What? I should have told you sooner. Month 2. Saved us both the anxiety. You were literally pretending to be paralyzed. And you were pretending not to stare at my abs during physical therapy. Brittany gasped in mock outrage. I was professional. You stared. A lot. They're very prominent. Abs. Are you complaining? She kissed him instead of answering. From inside the villa, a timer chimed. Dinner? She asked. Dinner, he confirmed. I'm making pasta, real food, that I can actually chew. Still bitter about the pureed food. Traumatized. They walked inside together, hand in hand. The villa's kitchen was small but bright. Herbs grew in the window boxes, basil, rosemary, thyme. Kang-min had taken to cooking with the intensity he'd once applied to running a criminal empire. How's the therapy going? Brittany asked, stealing a piece of tomato from his cutting board. Good. Dr. Rossi says I'm making progress. Does she know about the whole fake paralysis thing? She knows I have trust issues and a complicated relationship with vulnerability. He chopped basil with professional precision. I'm easing into the full story. Smart. Also, she says you're good for me. Obviously. He pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Also obviously. Brittany had found work at a local clinic. Nothing fancy, just basic care for the small town's residents. Her Italian was terrible, but improving. The locals had accepted them as the American woman and her quiet boyfriend, who used to be in business. If only they knew. Mr. Park called, Kang Min mentioned, stirring sauce. How are things? Stable. The new council is working well. No major issues. He paused. Lee Sang-ho tried to make a move 2 months ago. Brittany's hand froze on her wineglass. What? Mr. Park handled it, reminded him about the evidence. He's disappeared again. Probably for good this time. You sound very calm about your ex-underboss trying to kill you. I'm in Italy with you. Everything else is just noise. She shook her head, smiling. Former mobster turned romantic. Character development. You bring it out in me. They ate on the balcony as the sun set, painting everything in shades of orange and pink. This was their routine now. Cooking together, eating outside, talking about everything and nothing. Sometimes she told him about her day at the clinic. Sometimes he shared memories from before, the good ones, the ones that didn't involve violence. Mostly, they just existed together. No lies, no pretending, no wheelchairs, just them. Later, as they cleaned up, Brittany's phone buzzed. Her sister. How's Italy? Still in love with the crime lord? She typed back, ex-crime lord. And yes, disgustingly so. Good. You deserve happy. Even if he did lie about being paralyzed for 4 months like a psychopath. He prefers emotionally complex. He's lucky you love him. Yeah, Brittany typed. Watching Kang Min dry dishes with the same focus he once applied to criminal enterprises. He really is. That night, they lay in bed, the windows open to let in the cool evening air. Brittany? Kang Min's voice was quiet in the darkness. Thank you. For what? For seeing me. The real me. Even when I was trying to hide. She turned to face him, finding his eyes in the moonlight. You know what I learned, she said softly. What? Sometimes the best love stories start with the worst lies. She traced the dragon tattoo on his chest. And really prominent abs. He laughed, pulling her closer. Is that your professional medical opinion? Absolutely. They fell asleep like that, tangled together, safe in the knowledge that tomorrow would bring more of the same. More stolen mornings, more terrible Italian attempts, more of the life they'd both been too scared to reach for, until a plus-size black nurse and a tattooed Mafia boss decided that maybe, just maybe, they deserved something real. So what would you do if you discovered your paralyzed patient was faking it? Run, stay, demand an Italian villa as compensation. Drop your answer in the comments below. If this chaotic romance made you believe in second chances and the power of gospel music, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about unexpected love and the ridiculous lengths people go to for it. Remember, you are seen, you are valued, and sometimes the person you're meant to find is sitting right in front of you, even if they're pretending to be paralyzed. Especially then. Thank you for listening to my stories until the end. See you next time. Stay subscribed.